Good afternoon, I'm Josh Duncan, and these are some of the top headlines out of the Kelowna Now newsroom today. Prime Minister Mark Carney was in West Kelowna today for a visit to the Gorman Brothers lumber yard for an announcement about financial supports for BC's forestry sector. Carney promised an aid package for the industry that includes $700 million in loan guarantees and $500 million for long-term supports to help companies diversify export markets and develop their products. He said Canada will be its own best customer by relying more on Canadian timber as it works to double the pace of new home building to almost 500,000 homes a year over the next decade. KelownaNow's Steve McNall was there, and he also asked Mark Carney about the future of Bill C-18 and whether it would be rescinded so Canadian news outlets like ours could start posting news on Facebook and Instagram again. Here's what the Prime Minister had to say about the importance of posting news on Facebook during an emergency like the recent Peachland wildfire, and on Bill C-18 in general.
That one of the roles of CBC Radio Canada is to provide unbiased, immediate, local information, particularly in terms of in situations such as you're referring to, and that's one of the reasons why we've made the commitment to invest and reinforce and actually change the governance of CBC Radio Can to ensure that they are providing those essential services. Now, to your specific question, I personally, and this government is a big believer in the value of what you do. I'm going to use you as a representation in local news, and the importance of ensuring that that is disseminated as widely and as quickly as possible. So we will look for all avenues to do that, and I understand your question, and it's part of our thinking around that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the.
Steve McNall will have a more in-depth story on Carney's comments regarding Bill C-18 tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. A Kelowna woman says she was pushed into Okanagan Lake by a man after rejecting his advances in City Park over the weekend. Robin Stenmark took to social media in hopes of finding witnesses to the incident, which happened late Saturday night around 11 p.m. near the Spirit of Sail statue. She says the man aggressively hit on her as she was sitting on the boardwalk. She told him she wasn't interested, but Robin says the man walked away after making what she called some strange comments. However, the man allegedly came back out of nowhere, ran up behind her, and shoved Stenmark into the lake, fully clothed, ruining some of her belongings. Stenmark said the police searched City Park for around 5 minutes before determining the suspect could not be found. She's now hoping the public will be able to help her track down her assailant. You can read more about that story online at KelownaNow.com. Plans have been submitted to the City of Kelowna for a 40-unit supportive housing project in the Capri Landmark area. The building will be located at 1144 Pacific Avenue, just south of Capri Center. It calls for a 5-story building with 20 studio units of supportive housing and 20 studio units of complex care housing. It's a similar service to the one provided at Gordon Place, located less than a kilometer away to the north from this proposal. City planners have circulated the application, and a report for council consideration can be expected in the near future. Good news from Peachland over the last 24 hours as the Drought Hill wildfire has been labeled under control. As a result, the remaining evacuation alert affecting 118 properties has been rescinded. The scary fire began July 30th and grew to around 57 hectares over the course of a day and a bit, prompting evacuation orders for hundreds of properties. With all orders and alerts now rescinded, the Central Okanagan Emergency Operations Center has now been deactivated. South Okanagan residents were treated to a surprise show from the Royal Canadian Air Force Snowbirds on Monday afternoon. Shortly before 2:30 p.m., the full 9-plane Snowbirds team appeared over the city and roared back and forth over the valley for a few minutes. It marked their arrival in Penticton and a last-minute practice session ahead of their scheduled performance Wednesday night as part of Peach Fest. Our Penticton photographer Gord Goble was fortunately outdoors and caught some of that action. He will be there Wednesday as the Snowbirds and the Skyhawks do a pair of back-to-back performances to open Peach Fest on Wednesday night. Be sure to check out Kelowna Now later that night for a full album of Goble's incredible photos, some of which you can see there in that preview story. There will be better ones on Wednesday night. And wrapping up in sports, Kelowna's Jerome Blake put on quite the show at the Canadian Track and Field Championships over the weekend. Unfortunately, the RSS grad missed out on the 100-meter final because of a false start DQ, but he bounced back and made up for it in the 200-meter final with a time of 19.95 seconds. That's a record for the championship. He finished just ahead of his 4x100-meter teammate Aaron Brown to win the gold medal. Blake, a Kelowna sprinter, is certainly feeling good heading into the World Championships, which will be held in Tokyo next month. A quick look at weather, and once again, there is a severe thunderstorm watch in place for the Kelowna area. It seems to be a daily occurrence lately. There is a slim chance of showers and a risk of stormy weather for the rest of the evening. It'll be cloudy overnight, low of 16, and then more potential stormy weather tomorrow to go with a high of 25. That is all for me today, but you can read up on all these stories and plenty more at KelownaNow.com. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and I'll be back in this chair tomorrow afternoon for a look at your Hump Day headlines. We'll see you then.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local.